everyone, welcome to another episode of The Bryce Talk Show, and yes, you may hear it sound different. That's because this is the first episode ever recorded with the DM720 Olympus audio recorder. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about a couple things. First of all, I want to talk about this recorder itself, and also, after I, give my thoughts on that, we're also talking about these flares, these solar flares we had over the past week, or 2 weeks actually, Mother's Day weekend, because there's quite a lot of stuff going on with regards to that. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, and I hope you enjoy this. But without further ado, let's start this episode, shall we? So, first off, we're talking about the Olympus DM720. Now, I got this thing recently, about a month ago, and it's a small little handheld, and it comes with stereo microphones, which is really great. You want to have stereo microphones. Stereo microphones are great. Also, you have your regular headphone ports, and after that, you have the USB where you can charge it. Actually, it's like a flash drive. You don't actually get a cord, you plug it in. You can also insert an SD card and record off of that if you don't want to record with internal memory. If you don't want to record that way, you can use your SD card if that's what you want to do. There are a few things I want to talk about this thing because, I got it a few months ago. It's actually cool because it's in stereo, so everything I record off of this thing is in stereo. Now, I guarantee I didn't get that on the VN541 Olympus recorder, which I've had first since 2018, 2019. And the thing's kind of getting old too, and the side button keeps on messing up a lot more and more and more as time progresses. So I thought, well, I don't know how long I'm going to start using this. So, got the DM720. I used it for a lot of things, of course, what I use my other one for, and radio recordings and stuff like that. But because of how good this thing sounds, I thought, well, I might try this on Bryce Talk Show. I'll record the audio usually like I usually do, and then edit it and get it published for YouTube and everything. The Olympus is pretty good with how it is. I mean, it talks too. It has voice guidance, which is pretty useful too because, talking recorders, this one does, and the idea that it talks is pretty great because, I want to have the ability for it to talk and tell me what some of the stuff is. Because let me tell you, I've grown up with a lot of recorders that don't talk. A lot of Sonys and Olympuses that don't talk. This one, however, does. And that's what's really good about this one. Now, aside from the thing that really is crazy, is getting the USB stick, the thing, so you click it in and click it out. So you might hear this sound. So the USB stick, it's almost like a flash drive, it feels like. But you put it in the computer, and it's hard as hell to put this thing in here because this thing hardly fits in there. And I eventually figured out how I can get it in there. But you think a recorder like that, it would go in there as hard as it is. And then you have to hit certain buttons to charge the battery. Just these things. Eventually, I got into figuring out how to do that because it was driving me crazy because I'd be trying to get this thing to work, plugging into the computer because that's, how you get it charged. You can't plug it in with any USB cords. Let me tell you guys, I tried at least all my USB cords I have in this house. Every single one of them I tried in this house. I could not get one damn cord plugged in, and it would not work. I'm telling you, it was crazy. I could not get this thing to work. When it don't work, it didn't work. So, I thought there must be some other way. So I had some assistance with it, trying to see what I could do, and read the manual. Apparently, you do have to use that stick, that little flash drive, what you want to call it, because it feels like one. There's a little flick, you switch and flick it out, and then there's the little drive, which you will use to plug it in and unplug it. And that's also not only just charging it, but that's how I get my files from the recorder and put it elsewhere. But it's really, 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 really confusing at first. I'm like, geez, and you have to make sure that the little thing doesn't pop in. Because let me tell you guys, it will pop in, keep trying to pop in, so you have to, what I usually do is hold it with my thumb, so that way, that little switch thing, is I try to hold it so that way it does not pop in, because it's going to pop in, especially if you don't do anything. So that's the most confusing part of it, because you don't have any other way to plug it in. Now, when I figured this thing out, I'm like, well, at least I was able to do that. It took me, 3 weeks, a month maybe, trying to figure out how to get this thing to plug in and use it to get files and charge it. Well, of course I'll be able to look at files when I first plug it in, because it'll act as a flash drive or anything like that, or a hard drive. But anyway, I like to get all these files, and that's how it does. Other parts of the recorder, it also has 5 folders, A, B, C, D, and E. You go in there and record, select your folder. It also has a music function, which I'm sure I could copy music over to it, because I have music on my PC and my hard drive and everything else, so I could copy that over to the recorder. Currently, I got quite a bit of recordings already to start, and they're really good sounding, and I think it does sound good, and I'm sure most of you guys will think that it sounds pretty good too. Do I like this recorder? Yes, I think it sounds good, and I'm sure you guys think so too. The ability for it to talk and do voice guidance as well is also another good factor, because having the ability for it to do stuff like that, for it to talk and all that stuff, which is pretty useful too for someone like me, and I know it helps. So when you're using this recorder, and you can, for someone who doesn't have vision, but this thing does have good with recording and also talking. Also, the button where you hold it, to hit hold, you can also flick it left and it will turn it off. So pretty simple for turning off and on. And yes, they do sell these on Amazon. I know some of you might be thinking, well, they still sell those in places? Yes, they do. They sell it on Amazon. I didn't figure out how much it was, because it's about a month since I got it. But they do sell it on Amazon. You can go look it up online, the DM720. So look it up on Amazon if that's what you're looking for digital recorders such as the DM720. Because they do have them available, so if that's what you want to get, then go right ahead. And, I was also thinking about maybe eventually getting the Zoom H1 Essential too as well, because I'm sure that one is just as good. I could have a collection of that one. I might get rid of the VN541. I've had that for a while, and it's not as great as these. And just have the Olympus DM720 and the Zoom H1 Essential as an option as well. So that's another thing I might be looking into. That's a possibility. So now I'm not sure where else they sell it, but I know they sell the DM720 through Amazon, so I'm sure they'll have it on eBay if you're looking at that. But for Amazon users, you can get that on Amazon.com, so you can go ahead and buy it if you enjoyed how this audio file sounds, and see for yourself. Alright, next up we're talking those solar flares that we've been getting. So this year about the last of the solar cycle, and we've had a lot of space activity. We've had especially Mother's Day weekend, so through May 9th, 10th through 12th. This is Tuesday, May 21st at the time I'm recording this. And we've had a whole lot of stuff like G4, G5 solar activity, geomagnetic storms, and X8 solar flares. Some may be saying it was close to the October 2003 solar activity that went on around that time. A lot of people had the ability to see the northern lights. The aurora's happening. I got pictures of my phone, around the wet time. I had it on TikTok, and I posted that video. It was actually Friday night, or Saturday in the morning from Friday night's pictures, and from May 10th. So those are pretty good, and I had 3 of them, put them all on TikTok. It was a short little video with all that stuff. All the stuff from the Northern Lights. So we had a lot of activity from like Thursday or Friday, definitely Friday all the way to like Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Whatever. It was a pretty long time for stuff like that, but it actually started Wednesday because Wednesday was when all this solar activity started. Actually, now that I remember it, a lot of this stuff was going on Wednesday, and all this stuff was going on that day on the 8th or 7th, whatever it was. And now, I've heard reports of, satellites being interrupted, GPS, because that's what's going to happen. A lot of interruptions to communications when these things happen. In fact, so most of you know that I listen to shortwave radio, and I have a Texan PL880, and I do use the Elite 750 radio once in a while, but definitely the PL880. So I go on shortwave, and I'm telling you, it was as dead could be. Like, there was no signal. Hardly any signal showing up all over shortwave, and I was tuning like almost all over the bands, from 3 megahertz, from the 80 meters all the way to the very end. Maybe hear little signals here and there popping up, but like there was absolutely nothing, because that huge radio blackout because of the solar flare just absorbing all the signals. So therefore I couldn't hardly get anything when it comes to shortwave. And, I knew nothing had to do with me, because, it'd be like you didn't have a good antenna. But no, it was just solar activity. Now, I even checked on Sunday, which is Mother's Day, to see what was going on. And it was still pretty much as dead as a dead could be, like a dead bat. But there was, like, nothing you could really pick up around that time. Because all the stuff that, we tried to get was pretty much non-existent at that point, and it was crazy because, you'd be trying to listen to HF or AM radio or any broadcaster like WRMI or WWCR or anything else, even pirate stations. Like, there was nothing, you ain't be getting nothing. All because, this huge solar activity going on, which impacts shortwave. Well, sometimes it could bounce it back or absorb it, but this time it was absorbing all of it. So, the chance of getting anything was about zero, because there was if you were, I'm sure some of y'all know, if you're into that hobby, you'll know. You went on shortwave and you noticed that there was nothing, like, you couldn't hardly get nothing. Now, because of all that. Now, but the activity of solar activity lasted for a couple days, had, stuff as far as Wednesday all the way to Tuesday, Wednesday, but the most activity was definitely Mother's Day weekend. That's the most time where you had the most activity on that day. And I use Space Weather Live, and I got these updates too, and it was showing up all the time, like, the solar flares everywhere. Like, the most activity, anybody's ever noticed, because it's been a minute since it's been this active. Since the sunspots and everything has been this active since a long time. I mean, it's been a minute, but, those solar activities, they were just showing up everywhere. Strong G3, G5, even X classes were showing it, all this stuff. And that's what we were getting on that weekend. And it seemed to calm down somewhat, and finally going on HF and shortwave, I was able to get some stuff, because it just seemed as non-existent. Hardly could get nothing. So that's what was so crazy when I'm using HF. But you know, that's just gonna happen when you have radio blackouts from HF, mainly HF and satellite communications, but mainly HF. I go on shortwave and I get nothing. So anyway, I think that'll be it for the Bryce Talk Show. So if you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. Subscribe to this channel. And also watch all my other great stuff. And I got a lot more stuff coming. Of course, the pool has been opened up. A lot of the pool's been open. You know, grandmother's pool has been open. The pool at home has been open. So I'm sure I'm going to make a couple of videos. I need to charge my GoPro camera so I can make a couple. Of course, I'll get that up here. And, you know, it'll be a lot of fun over the past couple of weeks leading into summer and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that stuff, and we're almost on the road to 700 subscribers, and that went by pretty quick, around 600. So to all that keep on subscribing, thanks, and for those who watch still, thanks for watching this channel, and I'll be back for another video coming up soon. This is Mr. Brycey Wicey Licey Dicey, and I'll be out. Peace.